What in the world?
All right, there it goes. We're live.
Hey guys, Dennis here. We have Dan and Alex, Muddy Water Search and Recovery. And we've always wanted to do a live feed within 24 to 48 hours after we complete a search. And we were on a search on Sunday and looking for Crystal Kipper. And Dan, what year did Crystal go missing?
97.
97. I believe it's February of 97, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So the location we went to, we're not going to publicly say where we were because we're going to be going back. But what took us to that area is the guy that admitted killing Crystal and burying her said he buried her outside of Platte City, Missouri. And then we had somebody get a hold of us, and it had been reported numerous times that this man's vehicle was spotted in this location approximately 2 hours after Crystal was last seen. So this is a huge area of interest. We wanted to get checked out. And Alex, I think that's basically what we did was checked it out, done some search efforts, but there's a lot of work to do on this property.
Yes, this is quite an enormous property. We had to, with the help of Chris, who is one of my friends, we were able to obtain 3 property owners' names because our search basically, acreage-wise, I honestly couldn't say, but the areas that we had to search was basically 3 different landowners. So I had wrote some letters and we sent them out, and within a couple days we had received we started receiving phone calls from the landowners, and they all were on board with this. At one time they had all had, I believe, daughters and stuff, so it was great. We had positive feedback from the landowners. They absolutely gave us permission. I had told them in the letters that we would be there multiple times because eventually we would be there with GPR. And they were absolutely fine with it. So we headed out on, Sunday. We had met up at 12:30. I had texted the landowners because I do have their names and phone numbers in my phone now. I had texted them. I let them know that we were on the premises on the different properties. I told them that we all had on, yellow, orange safety vests. So if anybody received any phone calls and, people saying, hey, there's people walking on your property with vests on that look like they're hunting, so they would have a heads up to what was going on. So, yeah, I mean, it was an incredible day. It was cold, it was windy, but it was sunny. And, I mean, I can honestly say we probably walked a mile or two between up and down, back and forth, all the different search areas that we were looking at. And, yeah, it was a great day. It was great to actually get out, start searching. It was great that we had Dan on the other side of the phone to, help us with questions that we needed to look up on the computer or something. So Dan was helping us out with that aspect. We were actually going to vintage aerial websites on our phones, and we were pulling up pictures of the locations we were at throughout the years. So yeah, it was a boots on the ground, but it was also a lot of work that day for sure.
See, you bring up a good point. As much research and digging as we have done on this case, and then being on the ground, how much more we needed to do once we were there in the terms of research on that location, and of the man who admitted to killing her, as far as age, his body type, is he going to be strong enough? How far is he going to be able to carry her to help us narrow down on the ground the most likely locations? And it just shows the research itself. There's no end to it. There's always more needed.
Yes. And, I probably would say that you're in agreement too, that there's absolutely no way we could at this point ever say that it's clear, because once again, we're in another situation where we absolutely, hands down, need a GPR.
Yes.
Because, we found so many animal bones, and we did I don't know how far you want to go into this, so I don't know how far I should talk. But we were finding stuff. Hands down, we just didn't go out there and walk around and talk. And, we actually were finding stuff. We were finding animal bones. We were all talking because, it was Dennis. It was myself. It was my wife. It was my stepdaughter. It was one of my neighbors who is one of my close friends, Chris. And, we were all out walking together. We were talking. We were running scenarios through our head. We're conversating with Dan on the phone, and Dan's working with us through the phone, and we were talking here, and we were looking at this location, and we were thinking, okay, well, could he have drug her body, or did he just pull off the road? Or, we even got back to talking again about the soil and the frost. And, we were talking so many different things and running so many different scenarios through our head that it was a lot of work that day, just between physically working and mentally running scenarios through our head and stuff. It was quite the day.
In the soil, I've had that brought up many times by people reaching out. If you buried her, what type of soil it was. The soil was really sandy, and Chris was able to put a metal pipe, push it down into the ground at least 3 foot with very little effort. And then, Alex, you dug a hole with a stick in a matter of seconds out there.
I had a walking stick that came from a church organization, and literally we were in a certain area that is it is probably one of our top areas of interest. And, it was like all of a sudden I went in a panic mode, and I'm thinking, we talked for a minute. Well, did this guy have a shovel in his car, or did he find a stick and just start using a stick to dig, or was he using his hands? So I had my walking stick, and it's kind of like a 1x2 that's, the church, they mill the sides and they router it. And so I went into like a panic mode, how fast I could just dig in a few seconds. And, I dug a hole big enough you could probably put half a watermelon in just within a matter of seconds. So, we thought, okay, well, if you're in a panic situation on adrenaline and you're like, oh my gosh, I just committed this crime, could he have dug a hole in the middle of the night and not be seen? And it's absolutely 100% a possibility. That he could have done this, but we thought of we tried to think of every theory in the location we was at. And there were so many options of what he could have possibly done with her body.
Now, I just thought of another theory. Okay, you remember him being charged with rape, but
Yeah.
the girl got away. What if he already pre-dug a hole for that girl and used it for Crystal instead?
So let's talk premeditate. I guess let's back up for a second. So he originally said that he pulled off the road and he was going to back up and help her, and he hit her and killed her. But we know that's a lie because when he had to get the windshield replaced in his car, the windshield company had wrote notes, I believe, on their receipt or something that the windshield had been kicked out of the car, not in, or the back windshield would have been kicked in if he would have hit her, whatever the scenario of lies that he played. So I guess if we think about it from that time period, what was the actual time period from when this happened with Crystal to this other girl? What was the timeline of the dates? Because what if it was premeditated? What if he had gone down there and dug a hole like you were going, Dan, to put this girl, but it didn't work out? But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to see is what was the timeline between Crystal and this other girl?
I'll tell you real quick. I still got his court documents up.
Okay.
His first hearing for that case was September 11th, 1998 for the rape charge. And Crystal went missing in
February 27th of
1997. And the detectives would have had to build a case, and it probably would have took close to 6 months or so to build a solid case to be able to bring it to the DA.
But is there any of those documents, is there a date of the incidents in which the police went to his place and found her clothes let me back up. Is there any listing of the dates when the police went to his place because of this other girl getting away from him, and then that's when they found Crystal Kipper's belongings? So what is that actual date? That's kind of what we need to know, because that would put us in a timeline of what could he have already done this? Because I also think at one time, haven't we all discussed that the number of women that were missing in the Kansas City area within those few years between just normal women and prostitutes and stuff, and he was a sex offender? I mean, how do we know he wasn't a serial killer basically at this point, and he's to blame for these other women that are missing?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that too.
I mean,
one of the documents I read.
I mean, I guess I'm not trying to say he was doing it, but I'm just saying, what is the possibility that it could have been him? That's kind of where I would wonder, which my mind makes me wonder.
That would be a valid question.
Yeah.
And going back to him law enforcement finding Crystal Kipper's belongings in his house, when they searched his house, they didn't even have Crystal Kipper in mind. This is all related to the other case. And lo and behold, they found her driver's license, a check stub, her car keys, as well as the turtleneck and the jeans that she was wearing. And DNA tests confirmed that those were Crystal's.
Yes.
What is the possibility we can look back at the Kansas City news stations or the newspaper articles, and we can try to find something that's possibly could bring up his name, Crystal's name? And do we have this other girl's name?
I don't.
I've never seen her name. But I guess what I'm just wondering is, are we able to pull up all three of their names through some type of, news newspaper articles or news broadcasts and see when this was first discussed, and if there's any date where they go back and they say, oh, on such and such date, the police went to, his house, his home, and lo and behold, they found Crystal Kipper's belongings and blah, 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 blah. I guess, is there any possible dates of that?
So you see, Dan, the computer whiz, is at it, checking that out.
Yep.
Let's see.
So, and while he's looking at that, I want to go back again real quick. You had mentioned the animal bones we found. I do want to clear this up a bit. We did find some of what appeared to be cranium bones, but then the thickness of them, the designs on them and everything, we were questioning what they may be. We did find multiple fish skeletons out there, and they had the exact same piece, basically the same size, everything. And we were able to confirm those were 100% fish bones. Some that we couldn't confirm that way, we can say is in the process of finding out what they are, and we could update you at a later date with that.
Yes.
And then during the ground sweep, we thought we found a jacket, an old coat that was buried in the crop field. And, immediately the heart starts pumping. You think this is it. Turns out it's a different jacket than what Crystal was wearing. And with the wear and tear from being in the elements, being buried, it was a partial jacket. A lot of it was already gone, but we were able to determine that that wasn't related to Crystal's case.
Which it's an interest. I think I'm gonna let Dan talk. Dan looked like he was ready. Sorry.
Should I say her name?
Is it in the news article?
Huh?
Is her name in the news article already?
It's on a website.
Okay, as long as it's already public, it'll be okay.
Okay. On July 5th, 1997, Angela Amos was kidnapped, tortured, and raped over a 10-day period before she escaped. When the police went to arrest John Williams for Angela's kidnapping, he discovered Crystal Kipper's ID, paycheck stub, car keys, jewelry, and articles of clothing, and a missing person flyer of Crystal Kipper.
Wow, I didn't know the flyer was there.
And you said that date was July 5th?
Of 97, yep.
So this was, okay. So this clearly happened February, March, April, May, June. I mean, we're talking 5+ months after Crystal had disappeared. So I don't think it was I don't think he had a hole dug. I don't think so. Not at this location.
I mean, I just feel everything that we have looked at. I think everything that we've looked at, I feel more that this was an opportunistic crime than premeditated.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I think he pulled over, and in his mind, he already knew he was going to do something.
Oh, wait, hang on. I should have kept reading. They also found pornographic videos he had spliced with a television news reports of Crystal's disappearance.
Wow.
So he had
So
the hots for.
He was like,
this is a sick individual.
Yeah, he's gotten charges of sodomy, rape. I mean,
hey Dan, I got a question for you, and you're our records man here. Prior to Crystal disappearing on February 27th of 1997, did he have charges? And we know he had been in trouble quite a bit. Prior to February 27th, 1997, in the months following up to that, did he have any other type of charges of anything?
Okay.
Relatively close to that date, but before that date that Crystal went missing?
He's got unlawful use of a weapon in 96, trafficking drugs in 96. He's got over 100 and something charges.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask without being too...
And he did have sodomy, sexual assault, stuff like that too.
So was that stuff happening like right before she went?
It was a lot sooner. It was like in the 80s when he had them charges.
So not like in January of 1997 was he committing these crimes, or
he was probably in prison prior to this all happening. He probably got out of prison, I'll say, guessing by his record of 96. Let me see what date the sodomy charge was. He was out in 91. He did get charged for Crystal's murder in 97. He got also charged with endangering the welfare of a child in 97, armed criminal action in 97.
Now on Crystal's, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he commit suicide the day before they officially charged him with her murder?
No, he was charged a month before his court date, before he was going to get convicted for the rape charge.
The rape charge, the woman that got away.
Yeah. His court date was in May of 99. That's how long that case was going on, from 97 to 99. In May of 99 was his next appearance in court, was what it was supposed to be. But in April of 99, he killed himself.
And Joanne, I agree with you. He sounds like a real scumbag.
Oh, if you only knew.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of drug charges. Forcible rape in 97. That's the one we're talking about. The forcible sodomy is also in 97.
It is the
kidnappings in 97.
Hey, Dan, is the sodomy charge with that same woman or somebody different?
Let's see. It's the same. It's the same dates.
Okay.
All them charges, the rape, the sodomy, the kidnapping, are all the same dates. July of 97. And the only charges prior to that, a lot of drug trafficking, which I don't understand. How he got away with not being in prison for only 3 years for drug trafficking when he's got multiple charges of it.
But wasn't he a registered sex offender?
He should have been.
Okay, he should have been, but wasn't.
No, because he killed himself before he got convicted.
Okay. I thought somewhere we had talked about that, and I thought somebody had mentioned that he was on the sex offenders list.
We might have been talking about the case that just happened here in Oklahoma. Because that guy was a registered pedophile and what he did.
Okay.
But other than that, it's just drug charges and careless driving and stuff like that.
So this kind of sounds like almost, I mean, we can't say for sure that he didn't do something else before Crystal. And that started it, and then he went to Crystal. He did what he did with Crystal, and then he moved on to this next girl, trying to get away with it again, possibly, or if there was somebody else in between.
Well, he would have had to. Well, I don't know, because they didn't really. Them charges weren't filed for him until July, and Crystal went missing in February. He killed himself. That's another year. And this thing says that he's seen her missing. He had missing person flyers of her. He had videos spliced with her news articles in it when they did the raid on his house.
I forgot. Forgive me, I forgot this. Was Crystal from Kansas or was she from Missouri? I mean, I know she disappeared just
Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. So I'm not on my computer. I don't have my computer near me. Can one of you go to the Missouri Highway Patrol's website?
I'm still on that.
Okay, and can you pull up like January 1st of 1997 and come all the way up to July 5th when this incident happened with this other lady? Can we see how many women went missing in the Kansas City, Missouri area? I mean, I'm sorry I'm not on my computer, or I would do it.
Now, what time period do you want to go from?
I'm just hypothetically starting with January.
You want to stay in the Kansas City area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I want to stay with January 1st of 1997, and then I want to run it all the way up to July 5th of 1997. Kansas City, Missouri. I want to see how many women disappeared just in those first 6 months. I'm just curious if there was a pattern of women who went missing in those 6 months in the Kansas City, Missouri area.
Just in the 6 months that from Crystal until his court date?
Yeah, well, basically January 1st, 1997, all the way up to July 5th of 1997. So those 6 months of that year, how many women went missing in the Kansas City, Missouri area? Because I mean, something happened for him to start this cycle. You know,
Yeah,
whether he,
I don't disagree with that at all.
I mean, whether he started it with Crystal or somebody else, but this second girl that got away, I mean, he had a, I don't know the correct word to say, but he had acquired a mindset that he liked doing this.
Especially when he had child pornography.
Jen, I mean, Jen's got a good comment. And you know, the thing is I know in the Kansas City area, between Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, you know, we did have quite a few women that went missing. I mean, between regular women and, you know, the prostitutes, the strippers. I mean, we had some years where a lot of stuff happened. It was always on the news, you know, and this is just one of those things that kind of makes you wonder, was he a part of it, you know?
Okay, I found crystals.
Was you going to be doing any slides on this live show?
No, that's what I was trying to get brought over, and it was going so slow it didn't get them brought up.
Okay.
Now, another thing popped up in my head, but we haven't discussed what else was located, so I'm not going to bring it up yet. There's a lot of pages.
Yeah.
I'm on page 4.
And I forgot. I can't remember. Break it down by counties. So it'd be, what is it? Jackson County, Cass County, Platte County. There's quite a few that you can actually break it down.
Yeah, that's one good thing that's about Namus. You can break it down to the hair color if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Just they don't update it as good as they need to.
And that's a perfect, I mean, that's something perfect that you just brought up. Because on Namus and some of those other sites, you can bring up where they found remains that have never been linked to anybody. And there's those dates, too, that we can go off of. You know,
now, this isn't in the time period that you're thinking of, but this is in October of 96, which is only, 2 months before?
2-3 months.
And it is a woman that went missing out of Kansas City, Missouri. Her name is Jamie Pankey. She went missing December 1st, 1996. Or not December, October, sorry. So far, that's the closest one, but I'm still sure I got a lot of pages to go.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's something else we can look into, you know, and we can get those statistics, you know, for the next video that we do. Because this definitely isn't the last video on Crystal Kipper at this point.
No.
You know, we're going to have, I'm sure we're going to do another search, a walk search. And then we'll, when we get the GPR unit, we're going to be busy nonstop for sure.
Come on, let me see that poster. All right. So, now, I did find one February 14th of 97. She was 19 years old. She went missing from Kansas City, Missouri, 110 pounds. Her name was Teresa. I don't even know how to pronounce that last name. Lordiseutter. That was around the same time, like a few days before Crystal went missing.
Okay. Here's another thought, and I'm going to throw this out there. He evidently was coming from north of where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So he was north of Platte City because, like we've talked about before, if you are familiar with the Platte City, Tracy area, her car was found at the Tracy exit, which is just on the north side of the Platte County Fairgrounds, where there's an antique store, there is KC Bobcat, and there is the new Trex gas station that was built and finished last year. So her car was found when you pass under the bridge and you are going south on I-29. Her car was found right where the exit ramp comes onto I-29. Her car was found right before where the exit ramp comes on. So either A, he was on the exit ramp and got on I-29 and then he backed up, or he was coming from north of where we all live. Let's say he was coming from St. Joe. I mean, there's two options where he was traveling from that night. So, and where did he live?
He lived at, I got that address too. I'm naughty. I keep everything. It's like 422. Okay, case header. Come on, push the button.
Because where I'm getting at is he wasn't near where he lived, I don't think.
He was north of where he lived. Now, here's another address that popped up with his name. Goodfellow Boulevard, St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, that's clear on the other side of the state.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the addresses connected to this rape charge.
Well, how many women have gone missing in the St. Louis area?
A lot. A lot of women went missing in that St. Louis area.
Yeah.
Kansas City and St. Louis are the two highest areas of people missing in Missouri by a long shot.
So what? Okay. Dan, the information man. So, do we know where he worked at? Because I guess why I want to ask is he evidently had a physical address here, and he had a physical address clear across the state. What kind of job did he have? Because evidently on his criminal record, it's listing multiple addresses.
Uh-huh.
So
On the court records, it lists multiple addresses.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Dan?
Even on the court records, it lists multiple addresses. The court documents is what helped me find his actual address. Because of the rape charge. Now, let's see, employment. I'm working it. I got to go through his whole criminal record to get there. And that's a lot of pages.
We got all night.
Okay.
And Alex, when you were talking about the direction he was coming from, we do have it in a report that the truck driver who drove by and seen her on the highway said that he was the vehicle was backing down the exit towards her.
Yeah. And according to his record, it has no possible employers, no possible affiliations, no professional license, no corporate affiliations.
Huh.
That doesn't mean he wasn't working. That just means he wasn't working on the books.
Yeah. Well, that's really that's very interesting, because either A, he was self-employed, or
Now, keep in mind, he was trafficking. So that could have been his income.
that's true.
For many years, he was trafficking.
Well, I think, do we have the dates? Let me back up. I guess we could reach out to Chris, and if we can pull his St. Louis address, we can see if Chris can work his magic and see when what the relationship was between him and that address. Did he physically own that property? Was he paying taxes on it? Or was it just an address that he had used for rent or something? I mean, we need to, I guess either it doesn't matter or it does matter, because at some point, my phone might die. At some point, now I'm curious to look at when he lived in St. Louis, or when he owned the property in St. Louis. We need to look at those dates and try to see if we can see any relationship between that time frame and the location of the property that has his name on it. Because, I mean, we can go way out of the box and think, man, was he committing crimes in St. Louis too, and nobody's ever put this together?
Right.
That he was doing this type of stuff. I mean, there's just so many. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get my phone charger.
Catfish says St. Louis is known to be one of the worst places to have more crime there than any other huge cities. It is known to be a bad location in Kansas City as well. Springfield, of all places in Kansas City, is really climbing the charts on that, though. To the point in certain crimes, Springfield is starting to rival St. Louis and Kansas City.
Kind of like the Springfield 3.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't that be a coincidence?
Wouldn't it?
Okay, I'm going to pull up that address.
I'm almost back. I had to go grab my extension cord.
Sure.
No, at least we had two-way radios out on the search, because I think even screaming like that wouldn't have got much attention out there Sunday with the wind.
No, it would not have by any means. Well, I'm sorry, I missed what you guys were saying.
Catfish had mentioned how St. Louis is known to be one of the worst places and more crime than the other big cities. And we're talking about how Springfield, of all places, is starting to rival St. Louis and Missouri when it comes to crime.
Yes.
Now, that address in 96 was registered to an Anthony Wardlaw. The St. Louis address on his court documents. So he had to have been a roommate or something there, not on a lease.
Yeah. But we know he evidently had ties there at this point.
I'm going to pull up this Anthony's record and see what he's all about real quick.
How do we know Anthony and Johnny Williams is not the same person?
Let's see. Okay, so this guy, he's making it, selling coke, sale of cocaine base, distribution, delivering, manufacturing, or produce, or attempt to possess with the intent to deliver. A lot of drinking. Oh, he's got a sodomy charge too.
Wow.
And let me see that. Let me see when that was. 1986.
Well, we have some connections and some same shared activities.
Yeah, but this one, the victim was a 13-year-old boy.
Man.
So, if you link it all together, it is quite possible. Think about it. Williams got popped with child porn. Now, who's to say that child porn wasn't what happened here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they've got similar charges. I mean, drugs, trafficking drugs, manufacturing drugs, sex offenders. Oh, something bit me.
Maybe it was that guy.
Yeah, leave that ghost alone. He's probably harassing me now. I'm going to check out the girl that was also living there. Same last name. She's got a lengthy criminal record, too. Stolen property, forgery. Yeah, hers is mostly receiving stolen property, which someone probably could have been paying for their drugs with stolen property. Possession of marijuana, drug intoxication.
So he basically has ties to people with the same like-minded interests that he was doing stuff.
Yeah, there's two more people that lived at that address.
So
same last name.
So let's just, if we brainstorm and we think about this, was he running drugs up and down I-70 between St. Louis and Kansas?
Very possible.
So now, in my mind, which is going 100 miles an hour, I'm thinking, how many other women disappeared up and down I-70 between gas stations and truck stops and McDonald's and so to stop
Yeah.
and fill your car up or do this or do that?
It's definitely something to look into. I'll make a list of them before I go to bed tonight.
I think a list of dates of both locations, basically, I guess from his ties to the address in St. Louis up to July 5th of 1997. At that point, we need to look at those dates, and I guess we can say it this way: we're not accusing him of doing other activities. We're statistically looking to see if there was a pattern in this time frame between his time in St. Louis and his time here. Is there any pattern that we can look and try to decipher? Because I'll go out on a limb. The location we searched, he was known to go to quite often. And if that was his go-to spot, how do we know there's not multiple?
Exactly.
I mean, and that's not being like out in left field thinking this. This is just statistically looking at the information that Dan has come up with, and us looking at it as a whole entire picture, as a big picture, and thinking, okay, well, wait a minute. He evidently started something, and he either started it before Crystal, because between Crystal and this other girl, when the situation happened for July 5th, he evidently got an appetite for doing this activity. And either he was doing it before Crystal disappeared in February, or Crystal was the first and he did it between February to July 5th. Or it was just 2 episodes and that's all it was.
Yeah, because that one girl was missing or held captive for 10 days from July 5th. So that would put it in June 25th, maybe?
Yeah, we can say 26th. June 25th or 26th. So she was gone.
So Crystal definitely had to have been before her, because Crystal's was in February.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now the question is there more before that?
Yes. Because I mean, we can honestly, we can say this, and we can probably say this with certainty, that if he was into these activities, and we know Crystal worked at a strip club, and she had quit, so more than likely he was visiting strip clubs. He evidently had an MO for that, so on and so on. So, I mean, Dan wouldn't know, but Dennis does, and I know that there's all kinds of strip club, pornography, adult toy stores all up and down I-70. From here all the way to St. Louis, there's ample opportunities to do things and meet people, and we know for a fact that in this time period, after the internet was started, that the chat rooms and all that stuff was crazy, because there's another case out of Kansas City where a guy was looking for women to be sex slaves, slave master stuff. And he was meeting women on chat rooms and all kinds of other things.
I think they busted that guy finally.
They did. And, he was burying women in barrels on his farm property and stuff. So, I mean, if he had this type of MO, there's, and once again, we're not accusing, we're just hypothetically looking and thinking, well, he could have had all kinds of stuff going on.
It is definitely possible he just finally, if in fact he did.
Yeah.
Maybe it finally caught up to him.
Yeah. So I don't know, Dennis. I mean, what do you think? Do you think, because I think Dennis and myself, and I believe Tammy thinks it, and I think Tammy's daughter, and I believe Chris probably thinks it too, that the location we was at, I mean, I feel that she could easily be there without a shadow of a doubt.
Yep.
Right.
I mean,
the time period, the 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours. Yeah. Without a doubt.
The whole scenario of how he could have done things, and I don't want to go into too many details of the location, but there was at least 3 options in that area that he could have disposed of her, and at least 2 of them we walked, and we was finding stuff, and one of the locations where we found some stuff, I guess I can look at it this way, and this is coming from the landowner's mouth, and she told me that when they harvest, they are absolutely always afraid that they're going to find a body. Every time, she said, they harvest in the fall, they always are afraid she says she always is afraid. She feels like they're going to find somebody. Luckily, they haven't. But in that field, we had found some stuff. And it was very clear that this stuff, every year as they harvest, they disc up, they plant, every year the equipment is rolling stuff up to the surface. And we found stuff on the surface, and this is the kicker, is the corn. In one piece of something that we found, the corn had already started growing up through it. So that tells us that from last harvest to this season, this stuff was rolled up enough that last fall it didn't grow up in the corn or the soybeans and get pulled through the combine. So
now, talking about that stuff, seeing how it's already out in the public, would it hurt to mention it? It's already on our Facebook.
That's on the private page. That's just the team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, we want to make sure that it 100% ID'd and all of that taken care of before we release that.
Then I'll mention it after this. Something that popped up in my head.
Okay.
But I guess back to thinking the bigger picture, at this point, that stuff that we had found evidently last fall wasn't at the surface level to a point, because if it was like what we found on Sunday, the crops would have grown into it. It would have grown up out of the ground into the crops. The combine would have ran through the combine. So
right.
It's very clear that every season, as they till and disc and whatever their process of how they prep for the next crop, it's rolling the dirt over enough that this stuff that was probably under the surface last planting of spring of 2022 was under the ground, sir. It was under the ground. It wasn't above the surface. And then after they harvested, they did whatever, it evidently had probably came back up to a point. I mean, I guess that's the way I look at it.
That's a very good.
Yeah.
They got to till it, so.
And here's another interesting fact is the items that we had found, they were all in a straight row almost. So it was tilled up, however they do it, the process of which pieces of tillage equipment or whatever they're using, it was bringing stuff up to the surface and taking it down the row, because we were finding stuff, 100 feet, 50 feet, another 100 feet down the field, all in the same path of that row.
Yeah, because even where the field had a curve to it, the next stuff, you're looking at approximately 20 feet from the edge of the field on every single thing we found. We marked it with flags, and when you stood back, it was almost that straight line all the way around the curve.
Yes.
And being that location, the fact the soil easy to dig in, you've got water there, you've got woods, you've got so many options there you were speaking about. Being his vehicle was reported seen there a couple hours after she was last seen, I 100% think she's on that property, and I am 80+% sure there is a strong chance there's others who could be on the property, whether it's connected to Williams or not. Just that location and the setup there could be others who have dumped off in this location. And
not to mention with all the drug trafficking problems, the sex trafficking that goes on out there, I would not doubt it at all.
Yeah,
the location is ideal.
But let's what Dennis just said, let's just back up for a second, because this is something that this is doing research. So while we were there, Chris had brought up some comments, and we were discussing stuff, and we went back to vintage aerial.
His phone died.
We lost him. There
back.
he is.
we had gone back to these images because Chris had brought up a question, was this section of this farm field that we were walking in, has it always been a farm field or was it woods? So we went back, and luckily enough, we were able to pull up images from 1997, and it was clear 100% that field was a wooded area. It was not a tilled crop field. It was woods. So, once again, the probability of he could have pulled off where he did, he had option 1, he had option 2. Once again, he could have, in that adrenaline state, and that's something we thought of, is, if you're in this adrenaline state, and she weighed, what did we, 125 pounds?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And 125 pounds in adrenaline state, how far could he have dragged her? And not to say that disrespectfully to her,
right.
The family, but
he was 38 when around that time period, 36 to 38. He was 38 when he was finally charged with that charge. So I'd say he was charged in 99, so I would say 36.
Yeah. So, that was something that we talked about, how far could he have dragged her? And I mean, we even talked about, I think I made the comment of, I know this sounds silly, but should we get a sack and throw 125 pounds in it? And we just take turns. Who could pull it the farthest without being like, I'm done. I can't do it, and do it kind of in that. I guess when you think about it as, are you just pulling off where you did? There's no traffic at that time of the morning. I just leisurely do what I'm doing. Or is it B, you pull off, you're in a panic state because you just killed this girl and you're on adrenaline, your blood's pumping, you're in a panic state. You get her out of the car and you drag her where the options that he could have taken her at that point. So that's something that we had talked about. And of course, none of us truly know because we've never done that. So, it's hard to sit there and think, well, could he have gone here? Could he have gone over here? Could he have gone to this area? What is the least path of resistance? I mean, there's just so many options, when you try to sit here and brainstorm, when you're physically standing at this place and you're looking at everything. I mean, Dennis can vouch for it. For a few minutes, it was overwhelming because you look around and you're like, well, which way could he have gone? I mean, he could have gone over here. He could have gone that way, and he could have gone that way. Real easy. I mean, he had 3 options right off the top that he could have disposed of her body. One was absolutely unbelievably easy, and the other 2 were either drag her over here and left her to lay, and the other one was he had to dig a hole. I mean, I'm not going to say the third option because I don't want to give away the location at this point. But he had 3 simple options, if not 4.
Yeah.
But three options were the most easiest options to dispose of her.
Yeah, and she was 5'5" at 125 pounds. That's not much. I mean,
it's not. And it's probably not when you're in a adrenaline, blood pumping state of panic mode of what do I do? What do I do? And where we parked was very close to where he would have parked. And it absolutely, as soon as you got out and you started walking, your mind is just going, she could be right here. Well, she could be over there, because at 4 a.m, 3 a.m, 2 a.m, there's hardly any traffic in this area. So,
and he's going to think that he's got plenty of time because who's really going to be out that time of day?
That's right. The only downfall to this situation was February. And in February, there's no leaves on trees. There's no tall grass. There's no crops in the field. So, in these certain areas, absolutely in the dark. Was he doing it in the dark with no flashlight? And we know for a fact that he had visited this area many times. So he knew it like the floor plan of his house. He knew where he could go, how quick he could walk there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I guess till tonight, I never thought of it as if he's done this more than once, that there's no telling what could be down there. I mean, in all honesty, but we're not going to know till we have GPR.
He went somewhere where he was comfortable.
Yeah, because at this point, everything that we walked was either visible in the dirt, we were walking in short grass, or we were walking in weeds and stuff that's already started growing. And within another month, one area of it, you're not going to be able to see nothing on the ground. The other area, the crops are coming up. You know, one area, there's nothing growing there, and there's nothing ever growing there, you know, and then there's the fourth option. So, you know, I guess when we look at it, you know, you just think, well, what did he do that night? You know, it's difficult to sit there and try to think in your mind and relive what he did and what could have happened. What's funny?
Mr. Alex, my phone's dying. And then I have to plug in mine because mine's dying.
Yeah, this location, there's honestly no telling what all is there. And I mean, any direction he went, as you're saying, you pull up, you immediately start seeing different ways he could have went, what he could have done, and not one of them would have been difficult.
No. Not by any means. And that's just what's so crazy about it is you just pull up and you're like, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't even think we were there 5 minutes and GPR was brought up. It's like, well, if we had GPR with us, you know, this first area would be a no-brainer.
Or even a dog.
Yeah. And unfortunately, all of the teams that I've contacted around this area with cadaver dogs are set up to where law enforcement has to call them out. They can't come out on their own like that. So we're still looking for a team that would be able to come out and get that done. With the cadaver dog, they would be able to get both areas we walked through. They'd be able to get that cleared within a couple hours with the cadaver dog.
Yeah.
Now, have you reached out to the person I told you about?
Not yet.
He said he's allowed to do it out there.
Okay.
He's not bound by law to stay in Oklahoma.
I'll reach out to him and see if he'd be available to come up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Motel room, food, whatever he was needed. You know, if he charges money, you know.
He doesn't.
Okay. Well,
It's all nonprofit.
Okay. Well, that right there would be, oh, wow.
But I don't know if he requires law enforcement. I didn't ask him that question.
And that's another step we need to look at doing is going in and speaking with the sheriff's department about the case and the efforts and see if they would be willing to put that call in if needed.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would in a heartbeat because they want this case closed. So does the KBI or the FBI. They did a ceremony for the detective that was working Kipper's case.
Wow. Well, I guess then I guess one way we could reach out to him, but we need GPR so bad because if we throw all these ideas out there to him,
you ain't gonna be allowed back.
Cadaver dogs and GPR, you know, and if we have GPR, we can say, hey, we are going to do this with GPR. We're going to search these locations. Will you work with us with details of situations? You know?
Yes, because it would be nice if they would give us details on John's size.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yes.
I can't believe there's no physical description of anything.
Nowhere. I looked all over the internet. There's not one mention of his height, weight. The only thing I was able to find was his age. And I found that while you guys were out searching. Thanks to that court document.
Too bad we couldn't find a copy of his driver's license.
He had a lot of problems driving without it, so he probably didn't have one. That's a lot of his charges too. So,
Man, that's just crazy. So I guess, you know, in my thoughts is we have opened up a book with Crystal Kipper's case that there's no telling how many chapters could be in it.
Right.
Just last week we had the last month or two we had discussed stuff, you know, but now after we've had this talk and discussion tonight, it truly has opened up so many more questions that, you know, we I guess we need to look into it and look at these other possibilities of things that could be related to him.
mm-hmm.
You know? And if we have connections in St. Louis, we have connections here. We know he's traveling back and forth on I-70.
And in between.
There's no telling. I mean,
Lisa wants to know how much your shirts are, Dennis.
Lisa, I will have Megan get a hold of you on that. Megan's the one that makes us. And she just went in the other room. Now, I don't think he took her very far, especially if she kicked his window, busted his window.
Exactly.
He wouldn't have took her very far. And the location we searched versus where she was found, that would be coming the back way around. He wouldn't be on the highway. He can get off the Tracy exit and then come the back way around like 92 down to 45 around that way. So you don't have a lot of traffic. The odds of running into law enforcement are very slim, especially that time of night.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have easily brought her around that way.
Okay. He's got an idea.
You just made me think of something, Dennis. So now I definitely want to know where he lived here. I definitely want to know his address because I want to know if that loop, did he backtrack from where we've been searching, or did he go all the way up to where it comes out at? And did he get back on the other highway, or was he living right over in that area? So now I definitely do want to know his address here.
There was 2 addresses connected with his name, both on the court documents. One was the 8760 Goodfellow Road or Goodfellow Boulevard in St. Louis.
Hey, slow down. I can't write that fast. 8760
Goodfellow Boulevard.
Goodfellow Boulevard,
St. Louis.
Well, we know that's not near here.
Okay, and then the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I gotta get your screen out of my way. Okay. The other one was 722 South Walnut Street, Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. As soon as we're done, I'm gonna look up that address, and I want to see because I don't know where that's at off the top of my head.
It's a condominium. The 722 one, that's in a condominium. Well, at least right now it's a condominium. I don't know what it was beforehand.
Well, at least the general area, and I'm going to see what roads go to that. And then I'm going to look from the search location to there because I want to see in relationship since he frequented this area of this location, he's evidently not terribly far away.
This is showing along I-70 between I-69 and 169 and 29 down in that area south of I-70.
Now, which address is that? The 722 one?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be south of that location, correct? Which would put him going southbound.
Whoa. Back up. I-29 ends. I-29 doesn't go on the south side of I-70 by any means or anywhere near that. I-29 starts where 69 and 635 meet. I see where you're showing, but that doesn't make sense.
Well, this has 29 up higher because 29 runs into 71.
630.
And that is right there at I-70. The south side is 71. The north side is 29.
Okay. So Steamboat Arabia Museum.
Yeah, that's just north of where he lived.
So we're talking city market area.
Right.
Yeah, I never looked on Google Earth yet to see what that address was prior to current.
Yeah.
Alex, this is really making me wonder what all is going to be found on this location.
Yeah, because
they already know it's your birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah, I think at this point, we have lots of research to do. We need to look into some more things. I mean, we already know that we need to go back. I mean, we can say this. We could go back in the first search area. We could go back with shovels and we can start digging. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We can just start. And if we just dig down a foot or two, if we take a few people, it ain't going to take very long to just...
No.
Especially the first two sections that we started looking at.
Yeah.
The third and fourth section, yeah, that would take a while.
I think the area where that certain thing was located would probably be a good place to do some digging too.
Are you talking the second items that we found that day?
Yes, not the animal bones.
Okay.
I don't know if we would be able to dig in that location.
I don't.
With all that debris and stuff there.
Yeah, I don't.
It's going to be this is going to be a challenge.
That's like us. We would have to take the mini excavator down there to remove all the debris. And I don't think it in that particular part of the search locations, I don't think we're going to be allowed to do that.
No.
Don't think so. Because that's kind of the right-of-way type scenario thing with the other thing that's there and the other thing. I don't think they're going to be that because I just don't think that's going to fly. Us doing stuff by hand in the other areas is kind of nonchalant. Not that I don't know if we would be doing anything illegal or not. I don't know. But that other area that we're talking about where the second thing we found, there's just so much debris there. I just honestly don't think you could even get the shovel physically in the dirt with all the debris.
And we tried looking through it, and it's so thick right there, you can't even see 6 inches into it.
Yeah, it's and you know, Chris found that stuff, and Chris had probably been over there for 15, 20 minutes, and you know, looking and stuff, and I just don't think that the average person who's just blindly looking for stuff would have ever seen what he saw that night or that day. Because Chris is I guess we could say is an avid arrowhead hunter, and he has a knack for looking for stuff, and you know, he's the one that found that particular item. I just think that I don't know. There's just so much debris there that I don't know how we could get away with, besides chainsaws and brute force labor, how we would ever get it cleared enough in those areas to actually physically do any digging. And then again, we get into that panic, the adrenaline. Could he have drug her body from where he parked all the way to that particular spot where we found that?
See, now, if you remember when we went back when we were out there and looked at aerial maps and stuff, he was able to get a lot closer to that than we were able to.
You are right. Absolutely. I forgot all about that. So you are correct. At one time, he actually physically could drive farther in than we could.
And that debris probably wasn't there.
It may have been in that location, as that location seems to hold debris a lot.
Now, is that debris from the river filling up?
Yes, because this is right down not far from the Missouri River. So you've got debris washing down. And we could say we're at a small river is where we're at. It is borders where we're searching. So you have all that debris that comes down through there. And this debris pile, when we were standing down at the bottom, was well above us.
Which makes you wonder, with you having that debris pile there, could the soil that you were poking through, could that have been the river soil that washed up on shore?
We discussed that. We discussed if the grade could have changed up and down over the years due to the conditions that happen in that area. We had discussed that. As you know, in that area, there's like 4 different there's 4 different sections right in that certain area. The first 2 sections, the way I'm trying not to give away things, but the possibility of the soil washing up in there and raising the grade up and down, I don't really think it would have been too much. But as you go to the third section and the fourth section, we can say has probably changed often quite a bit between what happens, because there's evidently a humongous pile of lumber there from things that happen in that area. So, but I mean, we know that Chris had a metal piece. I think it was a piece of conduit.
I think so.
One area, it was like 4 or 5 feet long, and he shoved it like 3 feet down in the ground like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
And we did that numerous times in other areas. And even though it's dry, it's very sandy and soft with dirt. It's kind of a sandy loam. It's probably 75% sand, 25% dirt.
Yeah.
So that's where we got back into, one, did he have a shovel in his car? I mean, let's be honest. There's 3 of us right here. Who has a shovel in their truck?
I plead the fifth.
Okay. So 2 out of 3 of us have shovels in their trucks because of something we do. Not knowing what he did, and I believe he was driving a car, was he not? He wasn't driving a truck. So in my mind, I kind of think he probably didn't have a shovel, unless he had already thought in his mind he was going to do something bad and hurt somebody and in their life and dispose of their body. And he premeditated. So yeah, he already had a shovel in the trunk. So I guess in my mind, I think that did he just walk around and find a stick and start as fast as he could? And I did it with my walking stick just within a few seconds. I mean, I had dug a hole that you could have put half a nice sized watermelon in just within a few seconds. So it's not out of the question that if he had a stick and it's only 125 pounds, you know, of a petite young lady, could he have done it? Absolutely yes. Did he bury her deep enough that animals wouldn't have smelled her and dug her up? We don't know. You know, and at that time of the year, we don't think people would have been in the area. So would it been if somebody would have showed up in April or May, would it have looked out of place if they saw an area where the dirt had been disturbed? Well, we don't know, because we don't know the conditions, how the rain, the snow, etc. affects this area. You know, could she have decomposed enough that the ground had sank and had an indention? I don't know, because we don't know. We haven't studied and learned enough about decomposition rates when a human body is buried in the ground. How fast does it take to go from a full body to skeletal remains with no flesh, organs, or nothing?
It depends on the temperature. Like, say, for example, we'll use a different case. You remember the Brian Laundrie case, right? In Florida?
Yeah.
His body made it to skeletal remains, and I think they found him within a month.
Yeah.
And as you know, Florida is humid, whereas Missouri is probably more dry during that time frame. So it would take longer.
You know, and I can say that when Dennis and I was working with the historical weather records, we didn't actually look into the amount of precipitation that was happening in that month, the following months. We had just looked temperatures, because our thought was in February, the end of February, how cold was it? We're thinking a frost line in Missouri. I mean, it's I can tell you from digging around here that when it's super cold, yeah, I mean, you got to get down 30 some inches before you hit dirt that's not frozen. So our thoughts were, well, in February, how cold was it? Because hypothetically, could he even have dug a hole?
He would have at least had to dig a hole, I would say, to at least get her covered up at 125 pounds. I'd say at least 16 inches.
So when we did our research in that month of February in 1997, there was only a handful of days that was remotely even close to 32 or colder. All the other was well above freezing. So, and I mean, we didn't look at January. We didn't look at December. We should have. We should have looked and seen what the temperatures were. But we know for a fact that in February of 1997, there was only a handful of days that it was remotely frozen. And that was not going to be enough to where he couldn't have dug.
No.
I mean,
and with that soil the way it is, even if it's partially frozen, he's still going to be able to dig through that pretty easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I even think Chris had made the comment that, oh, we need to look at the records again. And, maybe in February of next year, we need to be there on that date and go down there and look at the conditions. Are they the same type of conditions? And how far can we dig if we don't have any resolution to this area by then?
She was.
Go ahead.
This is to Bobby's comment. She wasn't in a duffel bag. She tried kicking out his window. She was either in the front seat or the back seat.
My thought was, I wonder if he pulled up trying to portray that he was going to help her. He got out, put on a smile. Hey, I can help you, whatever. Come up here. I'll give you a ride. What if he got her up to the car and then started his crap, threw her in the passenger seat? Did he start hitting her? What did he do? She went crazy, kicked the windshield, broke it, kicked it out. Because, I mean, while we've been talking, I already in my mind played, well, he drove to this location because he was seen there. So was he driving with his windshield kicked out? And how far, once he left there, did he have to drive home with his windshield kicked out, possibly? So, I already thought of that in my head, too, when I was thinking of the address. And, I mean, I don't know.
How early in the morning did he get his window fixed? Because I know it was the next day, right?
Right. It was the next day. That's all I've been able to find.
Yeah, that's all it shows is just the next day.
Yeah. Did you guys see who sponsored our video tonight?
Oh,
Are you back into Tammy's makeup?
I like my sponsor better.
What is that?
The new Red Bull flavor.
Is that the hair growth formula?
Oh, it doesn't work. Trust me.
I just stuck with same old Pepsi. I had Dr. Pepper to start with, but now I'm drinking Pepsi.
Yeah, I had Dr. Pepper first too, but the Red Bull is calling my name. It makes me think.
So, I mean, I think we're all in agreement, and probably with the rest of the group that's not around us, we are nowhere near done searching this area by any means. No. We are blessed that the landowners are very nice people. And as long as we are touching base with them and letting them know that we are on their properties and searching, they are very nice. They are very sweet people to talk with. That was my first time writing letters to somebody, and I even expressed this with Dennis. I mean, it's hard to sit down, and I want to lead into something as soon as I'm done to this, because I've got something to say. And I think it's time that I'm going to say it. I got something to say. So as soon as we're done talking about Crystal, I want 5 minutes of mic time. But writing letters to a complete stranger and explaining a situation to them and telling them that, hey, I am with so-and-so. We are a open source investigation group, and we are basically, I am writing this letter to tell you that there could be a possibility that there could be somebody, unfortunately, that has been buried on your property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the person, this is, why we're reaching out to you, because we're trying to find answers. We're trying to bring someone home, someone's loved one home. And it was a lot. It's not just something that you just sit down and write it out and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think that day I spent 2 hours writing stuff out, changing it, adding stuff, and using this certain program to help someone that's not. I mean, I clearly don't use big words, but trying to write something where somebody looks at it and, 1, doesn't get freaked out, 2, understands the situation, and 3, hopefully with their blessing that they would agree for us to do this. And it was quite the task. I will admit it was a mental task to do this, because if somebody wrote me a letter and said, hey, back in 1985, somebody was murdered in your house, and there's a possibility that, according to legends or stories, they're buried behind your garage. I mean, let's be honest. Anybody would be like, what the heck? Whoa. And I remember that one of the first the ladies that I talked to, I think her first thing was, she said when she started reading it, she thought somebody was trying to buy their farmland. And then she totally was like, oh. And believe it or not, one of the, how did this go, Dennis? Was it one of the property owners that she was best friends with Crystal Kipper's cousin?
Yes.
There was a connection. And as soon as she read all this, she was one of them that called, first called me, and she said, hey, this is so-and-so. Alex, I got your letter. And I think we talked for an hour on the phone that day. And I was going over stuff. I was explaining who we were and what we do and so on and so forth. And, and she was just like, Alex, absolutely, you have our permission. Just, keep in touch with me when you guys are going to be there, blah, 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 blah. And it was a lot of work, but I guess it was rewarding that they absolutely 100% agreed to let us do the search. And I know that we have hundreds of more letters to write for all sorts of cases. So,
it's intimidating, isn't it?
It is. It is very, because it's something, if you've never done it before, I sat down and I start thinking, okay, do I start off with who I am and who I am affiliated with and what we do. And the reason I'm contacting you is I would hope that by you reading this letter, you would grant us permission to do a search on your property for someone who possibly, due to a very bad crime, could possibly be buried on your property. This is the story. This is the tips and leads and the information that was presented to us. And there's a possibility that at this location, this incident happened on your property, according to these leads and tips. You know, by you granting us permission to search your property, there's a possibility by you granting us this, we can bring someone's loved one home, possibly, if these leads and tips are true. So, yeah.
That was kind of like the phone call I made with in Bruce's case. I found a property owner where the actual owner of the property had died of cancer, but I happened to find her husband's phone number, and I called and left a message that who I was with and what I was trying to accomplish. I didn't go into detail on the answering machine, but when he called me back, I went into detail and started explaining, and he was like, "Huh? What? I've never heard of anything like this."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely I could see how. I mean, I would be shocked. I would if I wasn't a part of Muddy Waters and have not learned as much as I have from Dennis and working with Dennis and becoming a part of Muddy Waters. If I didn't have a connection to the Randy Leach case because of school and stuff like that, if growing up my grandfather had not flown in the same squadron as Robert Stack, I would have never watched Unsolved Mysteries, because my dad wouldn't have told me every Friday, you know, your grandpa flew with Robert Stack in World War II. We're going to watch Unsolved Mysteries, you know? So, yeah, I would be thoroughly freaked out if somebody sent me a letter making these statements. I'd be like, you know, so
Yeah,
so yeah, and it's a thing that when you write these, you've got to be caring and compassionate to everybody involved that you're putting names out, whether it's your property or it's someone's loved one. You just, hey, I need permission. When can I come out to your place? You know, you've got to be respectful. You've got to be thoughtful. You've got to be compassionate of everybody's feelings and, you know, what your intentions are and what you're trying to resolve. And I'm glad that these people were so nice and receptive and did all this, you know, and it was a chore. It really was.
I wish more was like that.
I do too.
yeah.
And that, I guess this is what leads into Randy Leach's case. And I'm going to say something because I'm not going to name names, but I thoroughly am fed up with people talking crap on Muddy Waters. And I'm going to tell everybody that's watching right now, I don't give a crap who you are or what you say about us. I just want you to know that just because you're on some page or some messenger chat and you're talking crap, I just want you to know that chances are we're on there with you. And we might not be making comments, but I promise you, if you look in them little circles with people's faces, I guarantee you I'm on there and Dan's on there and Dennis is on there Tammy's on there. The other girls might be on there. So just be mindful that if you want to talk smack and crap and BS and run your mouth that Muddy Waters doesn't do anything, you know, there's scenarios and situations. You know, are we going to go out and check ponds in January when stuff is frozen? February, if the weather's 10 below zero? No, we're not. Because what are we going to do? Go out and freeze to death, getting in ice? I mean, we have to use our heads, for one, for our own safety and for our own health. You know, we have reasons why we do stuff and when we do it. You know, unfortunately, we had a loss. Sonar equipment was stolen and stuff. And I can be upfront and honest here. We don't pull in $5,000 a month from YouTube. We're not pulling in $500 a month. We're not this big, giant, high dollar running, you know, group that has all this money running out of our ears. I mean, Dennis pays for stuff out of his pocket. I pay for stuff out of my pocket. You know, Dan pays for stuff out of his pocket that he's working on. So, you know, yeah, it was a task buying another boat, buying another engine, buying another sonar equipment for us to do searches. So before you run your mouth and you get on there and talk shit about Muddy Waters, that we're not out doing nothing, please do your research and figure out why and what we are doing and what we're not doing. Because you never know what we're doing. Nobody knows where we're at because we don't tell people what we're doing every moment of every day when we're out doing searches. There's things that Dan's on. There's things that I'm working on. Dennis is on the phone talking to people 24/7. You know, I mean, we are always working on stuff. So I'm not trying to get on here and be a jerk about stuff, but it really upsets me that people would run their mouths not knowing what is or what is not going on and what financial, you know, restraints that we run under. Because once again, nobody is sending donations to us on a regular basis that is building a bank account for us to buy this, buy that. I mean, it's clear we've been talking about GPR for a year, you know, and I've told Dennis straight up, as soon as I sell my other house, that's the first thing I'm going and buying is the GPR unit. I will literally put my check in the bank when I sell my other house, and I'm going to call the company and I'm going to pay for it. And we're going to be done. We'll have it. I've already made that promise to Dennis, and I'm not going to break that promise because we need that piece of equipment. We need that piece of equipment to better us, to give us more options to help families who have missing loved ones. And if other groups ever reach out to us and say, hey, Muddy Waters, we heard you got a GPR unit. Can you come over here and help us? And I'm going to be like, hey, Dennis, these people need our help. I'm out. I'll be back in a week. I'm heading to Iowa to go look for somebody that possibly is buried in a field. Dennis is going to call and say, hey, Alex, we need to run to Nebraska this weekend. We need to leave tonight. We need to get up there. We need to do this. We're going to do it. Dan's going to say, hey, man, I need you guys down here this weekend. We got a situation, and we're going to do it. And we will do it, and we will help anybody and everybody. But it absolutely kills me that people will run their mouths and try to throw us under the bus just to compare us to somebody else, because we're not comparable to that other group. We don't run under their bankroll.
We don't give up.
No. I mean, it's just...
You know where that one went.
And it just
Don't
kills
walk away and say, oh, we got it.
It just kills me. It just literally kills me. You know, and the other day when that all started, I was like, And then I get home and Tammy's like, oh, you ain't going to believe what I just saw. And I'm like, I already responded to it. And I said, I already responded to the other one. So, I mean, and like I said, I'm not trying to be jerks, but everybody works at what they can work at. You know, we all have different situations and we all are able to put time in where we can, with we can, and what we have to work with. You know, we couldn't go out and do water searches without a boat and sonar. We now have it. We financially, it came to us. It worked. You know, it happened. We're now back in that position, you know, and it's these type of things that maybe I should just shut up. So I'm sorry.
See,
go on.
You know, and when we kind of discussed that whole situation, this ain't the first time we've had somebody come out like that. And we try to be as transparent as possible. As Alex says, we don't reveal our actual search locations until the search is complete. And that is just from death threats that we've received in other cases. So it's for our safety. But if you're ever curious, you know, do you guys have something going on? What are you doing? We put our email address on every video. That is our team email. Every member of our team has access to that. Please just shoot us an email or a message off of Facebook or a phone call. Hey guys, what do you have going on? We will at least be able to give you an idea of what we're doing, even if not the actual location. But to have people say we're not doing anything, I can't tell you how many hours each person on this team has put into these cases. It's every day. Holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. At some point that day, at least one of us is digging into a case, looking for answers, lining up searches, a lot of searches coming up. Yeah. And I made the comment to Alex, you know, it seems that most of the time somebody is coming on and bashing, not just us, but any of the teams that are out there searching. Most of the time, the person doing the bashing, where are they at? They're sitting at their table on their computer, bashing people who are actually on the ground working. What's stopping them from getting up and doing something?
Yeah, exactly.
None.
You were absolutely right.
Because we never come out like this. I mean, this has happened before, and we normally just avoid it and go on, but it just hit that breaking point there. So we never come out like this, but seriously, if somebody's going to come out and claim that our team isn't doing anything, make sure you yourself are contributing to the search and recovery community before you come out and trash somebody who actually is doing some of the work.
Yeah.
But all of you other people, we loved every one of you. You got to see a Muddy Water Search and Recovery event session here for a while.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I should have told you that I wanted to say this, because I had thought about that the last couple of days, and it really bothered me. It bothered me that there was a couple different scenarios of people running their mouth lately, and I'm just like, really? You just want to keep on running your japping jaw, you know? And I mean, we can be honest and tell everybody, just like you just said, we spend a lot of time doing stuff. I mean, we spend an enormous amount of time But let's be serious. We're not going to go out in the middle of wintertime and try to go searching in creeks and rivers and ponds when there's ice on them.
Right.
I mean, let's use our heads. We're not going to go out and get sick to where Dennis got a cold. Dennis is sick. Now Dennis is off work for a week. You know, we're not going to put ourselves in situations, because our number one situation is our own health and our own selves. That's what's number one important. Our own selves and our own families. Fortunately, everything else comes after it, you know? So trying to do stuff, and it does. It comes down to work schedules. It comes down to financially being able to, hey, we got to drive 2 hours to go do a search. Okay. Well, let's just figure we're going to have to spend $150 in fuel, this and that, blah, 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 blah. We need this, you know. But like we said, we don't roll under a big financial bankroll. You know, unfortunately, we are still on a donational side amongst our own selves at this point, you know, and you know, we don't get on here and beg. That's not nobody's intentions, you know, by any means, looking for handouts. We just ask, hey, can you please like the video? Can you share it? Please subscribe. If you would like to donate, please do so. But we don't get on here every week and say, we got a flat tire. We need $5,000 for tires. You know, we ain't got no money. We're stuck out here at Platte City.
I know where that came from.
We're at Goodyear. Can somebody PayPal us, Cash App us, Venmo? I got Venmo's Goodyear. We need help. That's not
I remember that video.
You know, somebody stole the boat out of back of Dennis's truck in the sonar unit. We need $10,000. We're over here at Cabela's. Cash App us, please. We need it right now. That's not us. That's not how we're trying to run by any means or do anything, you know? So, you know, that's just.
I mean, if they want to see what I look at, I mean, you can come look at my search history on my phone, my tablet. Not to mention every one of us, family members. They know that they can contact us anytime, day or night. It doesn't matter if it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. If they need somebody to talk to because they're still struggling with what's going on.
That's right. You know, and, you know, at some point, all of us have some type of situation that could probably somewhat relate to it. Maybe not 100%, but I guarantee you, passionate and respectful, and we're going to listen to you, you know, and we're going to try to help you and talk to you and look at your situation, you know, and we will do whatever we can, you know, by any means. We will do whatever we can by what we have to work with. And if we can, that's great. If we can't, we'll try to put you in touch with somebody who can, you know. But just the underhanded slap in the face, little jive, stab in the back comments of, oh, well, Muddy Waters this and Muddy Waters that. I'm over it.
At least they think of us, though. We can look at it like that.
Hey, they're still
At
putting our
least they
name out
thought
there.
about us.
Yeah. So I apologize to my fellow group members and to our listening audience. I don't mean to run off at the mouth and be upset, but unfortunately, I've just had enough of it.
Well, y'all already seen I don't bite my tongue when someone made a certain comment.
No. No. And we know not to dare you.
Oh, don't we?
address has mysteriously appeared.
Hey, it was on the list. It came into the email that night, and you did the right thing. You brought it up so the address could be recorded. So, I mean, nothing was done wrong or out of line. It was brought up. So, but,
so guys, just know you can reach out to us at any time, and we're going to respond back to you. As Alex says, you know, a lot of us have full-time jobs, so if we're unable to answer the phone right then or return a message, leave us a message, a voicemail, something. We will get back with you as soon as possible. The best route to go is probably the team email because there's multiple set of eyes on that. But either way, you can reach out to us anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't ever think if you have a missing loved one or you have a friend that has a missing loved one, we have men in our group and we have women in our group. If you want to talk to a lady, we have ladies. If you want to talk to a man, we can have a man talk to you. We have every option that we can try to help you with what makes you feel comfortable and helping you with your situation. Absolutely.
And for all the negative ones, we got kids we can let you talk to. That's what they're acting like.
Yeah. So
my daughter's fun to put on the phone with telemarketers.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
That would be funny. That would be great. But so I think what we can all agree is we are nowhere near done with Crystal Kipper's case by any means.
No.
I think tonight we opened up a lot more doors after talking that we need to look into other situations and just, are we just truly looking for Crystal, or is there a possibility that
it's a serial?
There could be multiple, and I think we need to be in contact with this person that has the cadaver dog, and maybe try to set up a time where, hey, we're trying to get to where we can buy a GPR unit. Later this summer. Do you think if we set up a time, you would be able to come up here? We can put you up in motel. We can pay for your fuel. Whatever we can do to help you. Could you work with us between the GPR unit and working? Can we set this time up to make it all work together?
It would be nice to get a dog near that debris pile.
Yes.
It absolutely.
Because you wouldn't have to get a GPR there. If the dog hit on something, something's there.
What? Right. Real quick, before we hang up for the night, what is with a cadaver dog and remains? Is there a timeline, a time limit of how long the dog can smell remains after? Is there a time? I mean, it's not like this person's been gone for 30 years.
Let me give you a hint. This team that we're talking about, he trains his dogs on grave sites.
Oh. So we are working with people years. So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So that gives us a better idea that, yes, if somebody's a foot underground versus this scenario, this dog is trained that it's more than likely going to hit on it pretty easy.
And there are some dogs that can catch a scent from certain depths of water as well.
Wow, yeah. That's very interesting. Well, I'm glad we now, because that's pretty interesting.
Catfish, real quick with Catfish, he said, if I'm one of them, my apologies are greatly appreciated. Catfish, this time it's not you, bud. No, people that was the subject of the event just a bit ago, that was off a Facebook page, I guess a chat area, but that wasn't you. Anytime that you've had something to talk about, you actually talked to us. You didn't go run your mouth to anybody else. It come directly to us. We really appreciate that. And none of that was about you, bud. In fact, everybody that I've seen on here tonight, that wasn't out to you guys.
Now, Bobby, give us your credit card.
Appreciate all of you. Hey, there you go.
Yes.
And until we do get a dog out there, our GPR, there is still a lot of things we can do on the ground right now as far as search efforts. And as you said earlier, this time of year, there's going to be one area that's going to have crops in it that's going to be hard to get into. The other area is going to be so overgrown, it's going to be hard to get into. So we'll be going back out pretty soon to try to get into those and finish up those areas the best we can. And hopefully we will get a cadaver dog or GPR soon to get those finished up.
Yeah.
What was the case that was just closed so I can mark it off? Justin
Sywick. His remains were found on April 16th. He was the case out of Kansas. A couple years ago, he was supposedly abducted from the motel at 78th and I-70 in Kansas City, Kansas. His remains were found on April 16th by somebody walking in the woods. And they just released, was it yesterday or the day before?
Day before, I think it was.
So they just were released that the remains have been identified as Justin's. So,
and our thoughts and prayers go out to that family. We've spoken with some of the family a few times, and our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Yes. Unfortunately, it was not the results that, that nobody wants to deal with, but at least the final closure and healing process can start for them.
Yeah, they can lay them to rest.
Yes. So, that sad deal for sure.
Yeah.
But,
so, guys, with our search effort Sunday, some of the stuff that we're still going to be working to confirm on, we will keep you guys updated on that and our future searches in that area. I did take the cameras out with us to film it, but that wind was blowing so hard that the only thing you were going to hear is the wind blowing. And so we did not actually record the search efforts this go around. Hopefully the next time out there, it's not so windy and you could get a better view of where we're at and what we're doing. But we were out there probably 3.5 hours or so.
Yeah, we were basically from 1 o'clock to 4 or 4:30.
Yeah, something like that. I think Dennis called me right when you guys left. So yeah, it was for what we were doing though. We had a great day. We definitely, it felt good to get out and start doing these activities and looking and walking and. I didn't mean to call you, Dennis. 4:30.
4:30 is when we left that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and like we said, it wasn't like we went out and walked and nothing happened. I mean,
Stuff was found.
yeah, absolutely. We did. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a great day of searching and working together as a group for sure. So,
And with that, Chris and Talee, thank you very much for coming out Sunday. Both of you done incredible out there. I think everybody that was on the ground found at least one item of interest,
yeah,
and some found multiple. And you guys done incredible, and it was just an honor having you guys out there with us like that.
yeah, it was. I am thankful that they were there with us.
Then we had some others that had planned on coming, but at the last minute, they had some things come up and wasn't able to come out. But thank you very much for, everything you've contributed to coming out. And I've got no doubt you will be out on some of our feature searches with this as well. And to all of you, thank you. You guys motivate us to keep going and keep doing this. And like with anything else, we have our good days, we have our bad days. You guys help motivate us and help us to where we're able to better help the families of missing loved ones. And the team effort is, from day one, has been incredible.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen a ghost behind me since we started? Alex was seeing things before we got started.
I swear something ran behind you, and it was not your daughter.
No, she's not tall enough to get behind that chair.
No.
Now, what was you drinking earlier, Alex?
All I've had is water today.
City water?
Yeah.
Oh, that might explain.
Yeah.
I wonder maybe Tammy switched it out with vodka or something.
I haven't even seen Tammy. I've been home.
Right behind you.
No, the door hasn't opened up, and she literally just texted me not even a minute ago and said hi. So she evidently is in the house because the cameras have gone off outside. She hasn't come up.
Now, she did find a handful of morel mushrooms out there that was really, really delicious.
Did you cook them up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
I'm the same way, Alex. I don't do mushrooms.
Nope. Them things are disgusting looking.
No fungus.
Nope. Not at all.
And Alex, Catfish says, oh, by the way, I'm going to Alabama to look at a Dodge 600 I may get in a donation.
Wow, that would be awesome. That would be cool. And Bobby, I just want to let you know I haven't got a wake-up call in like a week. So I don't know if you're messaging Dennis and waking him up, but I haven't got a wake-up call.
Dennis, just put Alex's number on the Facebook page.
Hey, there we go. See, haven't got the early morning call from Catfish. I haven't got any tacos yet from Dan. Dan's holding out on us.
I could bring you Taco Bell, but you spend more time in the bathroom with Taco Bell.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I had tacos 3 days in a row last week.
I love tacos.
I do too, but I had to take a break.
I just ain't got no good taco place here.
Oh, we got so many good taco places up here. Oh,
we got to get Mark and Mac and Catfish up here and eat some tacos.
Yeah, we can eat tacos one day, then we can hit the steakhouse another day, and then we can hit the fish place another day. Yep, for sure.
Well, then we got to hit the barbecue spot.
And we got to hit the barbecue spots. Can't forget about them.
They make good barbecue down here. Just no tacos.
We need to bring Dan up and show him some real barbecue.
No, I want the Texas real barbecue is.
Yeah.
Texas got some good barbecue down there.
Famous Dave's doesn't count.
No. The best places to get food are the trucks on the side of the road.
We got a taco shack that sets up at one of the gas stations here in town. When you go back up to Platte City, he sets up at one of the big gas stations, and he's there Tuesday through Saturday, and it's pretty good tacos. And he's got a truck and a trailer, and they make fresh tacos. So they got tacos, chips and salsa, quesadillas, and just regular nachos. It's pretty good.
What about tamales? I've been looking for a good tamale since I moved to Oklahoma.
Really? You know, just in Platte City, we've got 3 taco restaurants. We got 3 Mexican restaurants just in Platte City. And believe it or not, we ate at all 3 last week. So, yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, really good.
We need to send you guys Mickey D kids meals.
A friend that we used to race together, and he used to race at our shows when we did the mud racing, and he opened up a Mexican restaurant not too far from Dennis's house, and it's pretty good.
Oh, it's good.
Now, see, I can cook food.
You can?
Oh my goodness! I used to be an executive chef.
What? Get out of here!
Swear on everything. I still got. Hang on, I got my chef coat.
Uh-oh.
See, he ain't got to buy us tacos. He could just make us tacos.
Yeah.
He makes good ones.
The question is, did he make you a birthday cake?
No, that's Thursday. See, I still got my chef coat.
Wow. Well, man, I guess when you get up here or we get down there, I know you're doing all the cooking.
I haven't thrown it away. I'm surprised it still fits with all the weight I've gained.
Huh.
Yeah, if we ever go on the road on a case, Dan's coming with us. He'll be the cook.
There you go.
There ain't a thing of food I don't know how to cook.
Really?
Homemade sushi.
I even know how to make homemade chicken and dumplings.
So, Alex, we need to go to Oklahoma, right?
Well, yeah, we need to make a 10-state road trip at least.
When I make lasagna, I roast the tomatoes in the oven with basil and garlic stuffed in them until the skin's ready to peel off. Then I stick it in a blender and cook it down for 2 days.
Wow. That sounds pretty good.
Hey, come on, Mac. We're all going to go to Dan's, have him cook for us.
Yeah. And then we're gonna shoot up to Bobby Flay's place. Bobby Kennedy's up at the Catfish Cabin, and
I'll tell you something that'll blow your mind. I was approved for an audition for Hell's Kitchen, but I had to turn it down because someone was born.
Oh.
I can tell you something. So back in the 2000s, I had a game company that sent us a thing, and we used one of my race engines, the motor sounds from one of my big block race motors I had. They used the sound of it for a video game.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Didn't receive a dime or nothing. Didn't even receive a free game. So
I've got recipes that won Taste of the Town.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. My dad was when he was in Vietnam, he was a chef in the military. So he ran a mess hall. He was a master chef. I used to have his cookbooks, but I have all his knives from Vietnam that have all the dates stamped on them and all that. I still have them. So after he had passed away, you know, I kept all that stuff. So
Look at $5.
Now, something else I know how to do. I can cut anything blindfolded
Without chopping your hand off?
without cutting, not even putting a scratch on my finger, and go fast.
I'm telling you right now, somebody's going to call you out and we're going to want to see it live.
Oh, that's no problem. No problem at all. See, it's all about holding them fingers back.
I can film all of it.
Man,
Yeah,
that's-
Well, there we go. He's got a camera lady right there. He's ready to go.
yeah.
We had a race at one of the restaurants. You get mushrooms in a box. It's like yay big, maybe 5 pounds of mushroom. First one done, got the rest of the day off, paid. And I said, all right, we'll one up it. I want $100 on the line, and I'll do it blindfolded. And that's when I started doing that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But I blew his socks off.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, at some point, you're going to have to prove that you can do it or it didn't happen.
Oh, that's not a problem at all.
We're going
No
to
problem.
Sunday night live feed, and it's not going to be about missing people. It's going to see how fast Dan can chop a set of onions up and mushrooms. And Bobby's
I don't cry when I cut onions either.
really. And Bobby's going to be back there saying, he can't do it. I got $10, says he can't do it.
You got to raise the price up, and I'll give you my Cash App.
Oh, that is funny. That is so funny.
Catfish says, "Be our luck." Dan burns hot water. Hello.
No, you never let me.
Not
I'm just
anymore.
Your servant. I'm just your servant.
Yeah, she's my servant now. When it's cooking time, she goes and gets everything for me.
And throws trash away. That's all I get to do. And I'm 11, and I don't know how to cook.
We're gonna blindfold you unless you cut things.
No.
Oh, man. That's
So,
pretty
guys,
cool.
we definitely have our work cut out for us on this property in Crystal's case. We've got searches for Randy Leach coming up and other searches in other cases as well. And we'll definitely keep you guys updated on it. Hopefully next go around we can film it. And guys, anything else you guys want to add tonight?
I'm good. I mean,
I think he got everything off of his chest tonight.
yeah,
He's going to sleep good tonight.
I need to sleep because I ain't sleeping with the duty right now. So my medicine ain't working. It ain't killing my pain like it should be. So I'm not sleeping well. But yeah, I mean, we've got so much to do, so I hope people will take a moment and think about things that they're saying, and like Dennis said, what you're gonna talk crap on people, but what are you doing?
Get everything ready.
So so hopefully
Hey, will you shut my closet door while you are right there?
yeah, I'll get that.
The other one.
Oh,
You got the wrong one, Alex.
No, his door's opening right there.
it might be. There's no telling.
Hey, it's probably Tammy peeking in to see if you're messing with her makeup again.
Nah, I haven't heard her come up the steps. So, so I got to tell you one funny thing real quick. So back in October, we were going to try to pull a prank on Dennis. So Tammy and I used to sit at the dinner table when we used to do our videos. And I've got a big, scary looking Sasquatch mask head unit looking thing.
Oh no.
So around Halloween, we were going to be doing our live like Tammy and I used to sit next to each other, and we had the big bay windows behind us, and we were going to have one of the kids put the big head thing on, and they were going to behind us. So while we were doing the live, and we never got to do it. It never worked out.
You see, around Halloween, that's when we had received one of our threats as well. So what you probably would have saw would have been I'd have been sitting here talking to you, and then I'd have just run. Then you'd have me showing up outside your bay window with a shotgun in hand.
You know what? I think you might have done that, Dennis. So, for sure.
Lisa, I can't imagine why anyone would bitch or run their mouths about you guys when you guys work for free. I trust Muddy Waters more than anyone out there. Lisa, appreciate those words. We do our best to do what we can to help the families, and not one person on the team has asked what's in it for me. Everyone on the team, it's all about the families. It's all about the missing person, or in your case, finding answers in your case. And that's all that's important, and doing everything we can to help out.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, even Lisa's got my personal cell phone number. She has no problem messaging me at all.
And I can promise you, if Lisa had a problem with any of us, you're going to hear about it. She has a problem with me, I'm going to hear about it. It's not going to go to Facebook or anywhere else. She's going to go to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lisa don't pull her punches. Ask the representatives in Tennessee right now.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, I just want to let you guys know that the next video is sponsored by Drunk Elephant.
We got to see you try it out first to make sure it works.
Proteiny Power Peptide Research. I can't even say that. All right, so here we go. You can see.
Watch its nair.
It's some. I don't know. It must be tears from a drunk elephant. That's what it looks like.
And Mac says, always remember there is no I in team. And that's why I am so thankful for the team we had, because everybody has that mindset, Mac. It's not about me. It's not about Alex. It's not about Dan. It's all of us coming together with all of you to do what we can to help these families. And I'm just
families.
So grateful with that.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, family, it does have an I in it, but it's all about them.
Right.
It has nothing to do with none of us.
Right.
Yeah. Because, there is, it's all about helping,
See, and Chris, Sunday was the first time I met Chris, and may have been the first time I met Talee in person. And watching them out there, them getting involved in our conversations out there, they're the exact same way. This is about the missing person, the family, and finding answers. And it was just incredible.
I got to answer Bobby real quick. He told Alex to get some Bud Light. Judging by him playing with makeup, I think he already does.
I honestly don't drink beer.
I don't drink at all.
I never had a sip of alcohol till I was 29 years old. And beer is utterly disgusting. I can't, I'll tell you this. I was digging an old driveway up one day, jackhammering concrete out with the loader, digging it up. And the guy that I was working for, he came out with a cold Coors Light. He's like, man, you're thirsty. You're sweating. You're hot. You've been working hard all afternoon. He goes, here you go, man. And I was just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'll try. I'm telling you what, I got like 2 sips in. Couldn't do it.
Last time I drank, I was 21 years old. I'm not going to admit how old I am right now, though, but it's way away from there.
You know,
last time I drank was Saturday.
I can have a margarita or a daiquiri or
White Claw?
no. Or the only other thing I can drink is, because I don't drink pop either. I can say this. I quit drinking pop like 25 years ago. This last year, I have been so sick 2 different times that I told Tammy I needed Sprite. We lost him. But I had been sick enough that 2 different times I had to have Sprite to help my stomach.
That's what I give my daughter when she's sick is Sprite. Sprite or ginger ale.
Yeah. So it helps. So I like Smirnoff, certain ones.
Smirnoff Ice?
I think so.
There's the green apple one.
It's one of those because it reminds me of drinking Sprite. That's
then it's the Smirnoff Ice. Yeah.
So it reminds me of drinking like Sprite and 7-Up, or Fresca. And
Fresca's good.
Yeah. So yeah. I enjoy those, but I just don't hardly drink. I don't know. I just never, it was something that I never acquired a taste for, I guess. Oh, he's back.
He didn't hear us talking about him, though.
I thought my ears ringing.
So yeah, I just, it's one of those things. I just never acquired a taste. And, I grew up where my mom and grandma used to make beer bread all the time. And, well, we just loved it. I mean, it was, beer bread growing up was like the equivalent of chocolate chip cookies and cake. It was one of those things. So I enjoy making beer bread. And like what my mom and my grandma always used when we were little was the old yellow cans of Coors, which I guess is what they call Coors banquet beer. That's what I remember being little that they always used. And when, I make beer bread nowadays because the kids love it, you cook the beer out of it, but you get the flavor, the hops, so I always like to use like a honey wheat type beer, or, might use I still use the Coors banquet beer sometimes, stuff like that. So, stuff like that I do enjoy because it does taste good. What the hops and the flavor of it and the smell. But as for just drinking it outright, no, can't do it. So, Alex, it needed to be Dennis cut me off.
It's the needed to be addressed one.
Yeah. I just felt that day that it upset me because, and it wasn't the first time, and it happened twice that day. I think somebody fed off of somebody else in a different situation, and I'd had enough, and I made my comments. I had posted some pictures, and I'm like, we are actually out on a search right now. You know, blah, 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 blah. It's just, I wish people would think a little bit more before they open their mouths and say things, especially like what Lisa said. You know, we're not out charging money. We don't require a fee. We do it out of our own heart and being good people, help people, you know, and perfect example is Randy Leach's case. I've spent well over $1,500 on digital billboards. I have never asked a dime from anybody, and then I got banned from the main Randy Leach page. And the reason I know I got banned because I can log into Muddy Waters and go straight to it. Log out, go back to my name, and it doesn't exist. So I got banned. You know, what did I do? You know, here I am helping Dennis, a part of Muddy Waters, for free, investing my money that I've never reached out to anyone for reimbursement. You know, and then I get banned, you know, and I was specifically on a chat on one of the Facebook groups, and they were talking about how the family was paying for the digital billboard. And I'm like, this guy, not the family's not paying for it. I'm paying for it out of my own pocket, you know? So, you know, it's those things that just crack me up, you know.
Meg says you don't do it for the publicity, and you know I like that, and I agree wholeheartedly, Mac. We have been accused in the past of using the YouTube platform to advance our self publicity, and you know, nothing could be further than the truth. We've got, 2,300 subscribers on here. We don't make enough money off of YouTube for us to even get paid. To get paid, you got to make at least $100 that month through YouTube before they will pay that out. And then you take out the YouTube fees, you take out the Google AdSense. It has been months since we've even been paid anything from YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't understand the personal gain that some have said that we're getting, because it's not there. Just literally not there.
We don't even make enough money from YouTube where we could have went and had Taco Tuesday, buy one, get one free tacos and pay. That's no lie.
Probably not even enough to go on the dollar menu at McDonald's.
No. We've literally the last 3 or 4 months, nothing, no pay whatsoever. It all goes in. Well, until it hits $100, they keep it anyway. But at the $100, then they take their cut, and out of the 100, we would get about $49 of that. Then we had that 1 month where donations come in that month was over $1,000 is what YouTube said we had made that month. It was around $1,100. When we got paid like $456 out of that. It's definitely not doing this for the money, because it's costing us a whole lot more money than that.
Yeah, that is very true. But you know what? We just keep trucking on. You know, we just keep trucking on. And I've got the digital billboard running right now. It started yesterday and it's going to run all week. And I honestly haven't even gone and checked the numbers on it, where it's at and where it's running and what it's dealing with. And that's another story that we haven't really got into on that situation. But I'm definitely going to check it when I get done tonight here and see where we're at. But yeah, we definitely don't do it for the publicity. We do it all for the families.
And
we do it for that have never made it home.
Yeah. And when it comes to what do we get out of it, I could sum that up pretty easy. Muddy Water Search and Recovery has been involved in the recoveries of, at this point, 25 to 30 people. We may not have been the team on the ground, but we put others on location, including law enforcement in many cases, put them on location to make the recoveries. And we didn't come blasting it across YouTube, across Facebook, social media that we've done this. But I got to speak with family members of several of those cases who knew where everything had come from. And just hearing the relief in their voice of knowing that they now know where their missing loved one is. I had one lady in particular tell me, I know I'm going to sleep well tonight because I finally know where she is. That's why. That's all I need, is to know those families are better and can begin the healing process because they have their answers. That to me is what it's about.
Absolutely. I
mean, we've gotten information to other teams, and they went to that location and made the recovery. And then in some cases, those teams come in and took the credit for finding that location, making the recovery. We could have come on and blasted that. I mean, between emails, text messages, we could have blasted that and been like, no, this come from us, but it's not about us. It's about these people being found and their families having answers. Just there's so much that goes on that we don't take public that, I don't know, maybe sometime we should.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed that one on the head for sure. So, for sure.
But guys, we've been at it for 2 hours and 48 minutes tonight. We still have at least 8 that has stuck with us tonight. And Mac, that's why we do it. Yes, it is. And Mac, if you're ever up in this area, give me a holler. I'd love to meet you. And that goes for anybody, but we do have some that really stand out to me. I'd really like to meet you sometime. But guys, with that, we're going to keep on getting these searches lined up and keep doing everything we can to help bring answers to these families.
Yep.
And with that, is there anything else, guys?
Nope. Good.
Max says, I rarely get out of Georgia. So if we ever end up down in Georgia, we'll be getting a hold of you.
Hey, I might pass them in June if I drive.
Hey, Mac, you got to talk him into stopping and cooking for you now. Dan was a chef.
He has to pick me
He
up.
actually passed an audition for Hell's Kitchen.
He has to pick me up.
I was filling Megan in on your chef ordeal. So, guys, with that, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Till next time, you guys stay safe, and we will see you guys down the road.
Bye, everybody.